Hello guys, today I'm going to be showing you equipment that you will need as a beginning artist or an illustrator. These are some of the few things that I got for myself. I would just advise that if you're beginning, don't spend too much money. This is items that I've collected over the years. I would say within the first year, which was last year when I started researching about things that I would need from different artists on YouTube and from books that I read. So I'm going to start quickly just to show you what I think that you would need. I'm going to start with brush. This is a Staedtler brush. I use it when I illustrate to wipe off eraser marks or eraser residue off my watercolor or my sketchbook. I just use it to wipe off all the debris that is on my sketchbook. Next is erasers. Eraser comes in many forms and shapes. This is a kneading eraser. I've had this for a while. This, once you draw on you transfer any drawing from your trace paper. For example, let me show you. I'm reaching for my tracing paper and my watercolor paper. When you trace this on your watercolor paper ready to transfer here, you don't want this drawing to be very dark on your watercolor paper. So when you trace it and it comes, you just take this and you just need it to just take out some of the drawing marks, because when you're doing watercolor painting you don't want it to be so dark because you don't want it to show through your watercolor. So this is a kneading eraser. I got this from, I believe, from Amazon. And then next is just a plain regular eraser, also from Amazon. And this is one of my favorites. This is my electric eraser. I enjoy using it. It's once I push this button it spins, and to change it, it comes with different heads. That's how simple it is to change. Just push this down together and slide it in there, and it does what it's supposed to do. Let me show you. I'm just going to quickly use it to show how I use it. So there it is. That's what it does. It's an electric eraser. It comes with a charger. But so I've had it now for 5 months and I charge it only once. This I really like because it also has this really small heads that comes with it, and it comes with a lot. Also, this I got from Amazon. I'm gonna leave a link to it. And a compass is the next thing that we need. This is also from Amazon. I love this compass because it's easy to open, and when I want to close it I just push these two buttons and it closes. Someone might say, why do you need a compass? A compass, when I started doing my research and I started learning from one of the artists, I got her book, she recommended drawing a circle first when you're going to illustrate. When you draw a circle, let's say for example you're going to illustrate a flower, you draw a circle first, 2 circles, and you draw a line straight horizontally and sideways, side to side, and in that circle that's where you put all your illustration for a flower, for example. And since then I've used it to practice drawing, and it has really helped me a lot practicing my flower drawing and my illustration. So when you're done illustrating, that you can use, like for example, why I like, as I mentioned, this, use it to wipe, to just clean off the circles. Okay, next is my HB pencils. One is just enough. You don't really need to get a lot, but this came in a set that I had years ago. I would say this is about 7 years ago now. These are all B pencils. What do we use B pencil for? B pencils, from my research, they are to shade, to show you shades. If you have a picture of a fruit you're going to illustrate, you can use this B pencils to shade where you have your shadows, and when you're done you can use this blender to blend out all the shadows that you're trying to show on your either your flower or your fruits. And I have here B pencils, starts from B, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, and 6B, but you don't have to get all of them. One is just enough. Next is my mechanical pencils. I like using mechanical pencils. I got this from Amazon. I've enjoyed using them since I got them, and they start from 0.3 to 0.4 to 0.5, 7, and 9. And as the number indicates, the thickness, or should I say the fatness of the lead inside. These ones are they're slightly heavy, but once you just push this button, it comes out, and you can change the lead pencil in there. It's very heavy, and it has erasers at the bottom, and you can see the numbers at the bottom. I enjoy doing them. For those of you that don't like, when you're illustrating or you're drawing, you don't like sharpening your pencils, mechanical pencils are very good to have. Next is your brushes. This is a 3/0, should I say 3/0 pencil, round by Princeton. I use Princeton because the prices are affordable, and I enjoy using them because they're synthetic. For those of you that don't want to use animal brushes, or brushes made from animal, synthetic brushes are good, and Princeton is one of the best out there. The 3/0 is for fine details, like if you want to make dots on a Illustrator. This is very, very good for that. And the 10 is also a big brush. This does a lot with, coverage, first layer if you're doing layering, or you're using it for any kind of illustration. This is also good. And this is a Montblanc flat brush. It is also used for washes. When you want to do wet on wet, this is good to start the process to wet the surface of your watercolor paper. And this is number 2 inches. I have another one here, and this one is another wash brush. This one is 3/4, and it's the smaller version. So the bigger the number, the size and the inches of the brushes. So the next is your spray bottle. This is just the old bottle that I had that I used to activate the paint on my watercolor. So from this we go to the watercolor. I'm using Daniel Smith. It is a professional grade watercolor, but for those of you that cannot afford this, because Daniel Smith is one of the best in the market but can be very expensive, you can start with Winston & Newton. They have a good brand and very good coverage, and I like them so far, but Daniel Smith is one of the best out there for professional grade, and this I use it to wet the watercolor when I want to start using them. Another, if you don't like, these are half pans. Half pan meaning this is the size. They come in these little cases right here. Some other brands label, or they put the names and the color of the watercolor in here, but this, it doesn't. They have their own little indicator to show you the names and the if it's opaque or if it's just light fast. So this goes in here, and these are half pans. And so some of you that might not like this, and you might prefer the tube. These are tube watercolors, and this brand is called My Mary Blue. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. These are tube watercolors, and I'm collecting my Mary Blue gradually by saving money up. They are also expensive. This brand, I believe, I've heard that is not toxic. For those of us that are sensitive, this is a very good brand. And when you have this tube, you need a place to put them in. I'm going to reach out for my ceramic palette. You can either use a ceramic palette or a plastic palette. A plastic palette like this. This is a plastic palette. So you can put this in here and let it dry. You can put them in there, let it dry, or you can put it in your ceramic palette and use it, and it can dry up. You can let it dry up, and when you read it again, you can just put a little bit of water. I'm gonna just show you, and to activate your paint. It does activate once you add water. Okay, some people don't like leaving their water tubes like this on a ceramic palette, but you can also use the ceramic palette to mix, and from there to your watercolor book like that. And one thing I definitely recommend if you have brush is your brush holder. A brush holder is very important because it would help you save the life of your brush. Once you rinse in your jar, you just save it like that on a flat surface. You don't want to store your brush like this back in the jar standing up. You always want to lay it flat and let it dry. The water will not go through the bristles here and can damage the glue that's holding the bristles of your brush. So you always want to store it like this. So next is my jars. I have this 1 and 2. I was able to spend money on this, because I could afford it at that time. But if you don't want to spend a lot on your equipment, just get this from Dollar Tree. This is from Dollar Tree. So you always want to have 2 jars. One's for rinsing, the first rinse, and then the second one to rinse your brush, because this you would always use to make the first wash, and this also for the next one. So this is just from Dollar Tree. You don't have to go spend money to buy this, but this came in a set for me. This is my set. This is how I purchased this 3. So in my previous video I did show you guys where I got this from and how the seller sold each pieces to me. This was a set from Etsy. And the last thing that I'm going to show you is just a masking fluid. Masking fluid is if you're illustrating, like I'm about to do this illustrating. I'm going to paint this hole here, but I want to showcase this water drop here, and I don't want to paint that water drop the same color of the fruit. So I'm going to use a masking tape. And one of the quick tip I have for you guys, masking tape are very known to damage brushes. Once you dip it into your brush, a lot of people have complained how it damaged your brush, but one thing I found from one of my teachers is that you can dip your brush first in just water and soap and dip it into your masking fluid and just indicate the areas you don't want your whole color to be on. It will save the life of your brush. It won't damage the bristles of your brush. And lastly, watercolor pencils. Some people prefer to use watercolor, some people prefer to use pencils, color pencils. So this is my Prisma color pencils. I've had it for years. I would say this is going almost 10 years. Yeah, but I prefer watercolor. And you have watercolor pencil. This is 72. They come in 12, they come in 24, they come in 48, they come in 72, and I got the 72. And watercolor pencil, this one, once you use it, you probably can activate this with water, but I have a watercolor pencil that you can activate with water, and it does exactly like, it behaves exactly like it behaves exactly like watercolor. Once you activate it, once this is Durit, but we're not going to go further into this because this is, I believe, you're going further up in your skill as a illustrator or as a artist. This I'm going to just grab. Sorry for all the noise, I'm just hitting stuff here. This is how it works. It is also recommended do not do this because that water can go into the wood here and damage your pencils. So what you this is I'm just showing you guys quickly. I'm just gonna move this and show you how. Oh, excuse me, it's already mixed it. That is what it does. There it is. So it's just, this one is professional quality ink pencil, but these are watercolor pencils, and I'm gonna let this dry because I don't want to save it. I don't want the wood, because once the water, if the water goes down into the wood, it's been advised not to do that because it will crack and open up and damage your watercolor pencils. So the best way is to draw, use it to illustrate or draw, and then when you're done, excuse me, when you're done, then you can use the water to activate it. Let me show you my watercolor book because I swatched them out here just to show. Okay, the masking fluid that I recommend is the Art Masking Fluid by Winston & Newton. And lastly, these are sketchbook and tracing paper. The tracing paper I got is called Konyo No. I got this, as you can see, $5 in the Walmart clearance section. One of the teachers said to me that the ones that is low grade, that is very low grade, are more see-through. You can see through them, so it's better than the expensive one. So as you can see, this is very see-through. You can see a lot through it. So this, you need a tracing paper to transfer sketch. So as you can see from my sketchbook here, I have this is the last sketch I did, and this is it. I have traced it in here. I've traced it here. So with this you can transfer that to your watercolor book. And the sketchbook that I'm using is the String and Space, and this is 200 grams and it is 8 by 11 inches. This I got from Amazon. I'll leave a link to it. It's very beautiful. So it's advisable to always practice sketching in a sketchbook, and this is Spira. Next and the last one is your watercolor book. I use this to also swatch the colors of my watercolors, so I can, when I'm illustrating, I want to use my use this watercolor, I know what colors they are, and I label them if they are opaque or they are transparent. And I also I can transfer all your sketch, you can transfer in here. You can transfer it here and then start watercolor. So this is 300 grams. 300 grams is it's good for a beginner. I know they can go up to about 650 grams, 650 pounds, but this is 300.